Well, it is the 20th anniversary of Batman Begins, and to celebrate the film's 20th anniversary, I will be doing a commentary companions episode of this movie. I do have kind of a bit of a sentimental soft spot for Batman Begins. For the most part, it was the first live action Batman movie that I ever watched in a movie theater. It was also practically my first movie directed by Sir Christopher Nolan, who has really come a long way, so I'm very excited to be talking about this. Batman Begins might not be my most favorite, but it's definitely up there on the list of good Batman movies and practically essential if you want to get into Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. So, before I begin this commentary, I just want to remind you that Batman Begins is currently available to watch on these platforms. You can watch him on the platforms, or you can watch it on DVD if you're old-fashioned, or on Blu-ray, or an HD DVD. Remember those? But anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy my Commentary Companions episode that celebrates the 20th anniversary of Batman Begins. Welcome to Commentary Companions. I'm your host, Tony Garcia, aka Tony the Happy Nerd, and to celebrate the film's 20th anniversary, I'm doing a commentary on Batman Begins, released on June 15th, 2005. It is crazy to say that this was made 20 years ago, and fun fact, Batman Begins was also the first DC film to feature that spinning DC logo that we know and love that was used up until 2012. I personally like that DC logo. I have a nostalgic soft spot for it. And of course, there's the iconic bat symbol. Quite a way to begin the movie. Anyway, Batman Begins was basically one of the first of many reboots for the Batman franchise. And let me tell you, it was pretty much one of those films that the Batman franchise needed, especially after the critical and financial failure of Batman and Robin. Now, before Batman Begins, Joel Schumacher had wanted to do a sequel to Batman and Robin known as Batman Unchained, which would have had Harley Quinn and Scarecrow as villains, with Jack Nicholson and Danny DeVito returning as the Joker and Penguin as hallucinations, respectively. Unfortunately, those plans fell through after Batman and Robin flopped in theaters and was panned by critics and audiences, which is quite unfortunate because at the time, Schumacher wanted to do a spin-off for Chris O'Donnell's Robin, having him evolve into Nightwing. But sadly, that never came into fruition, and all those, like I said, those plans were scrapped because Warner Brothers decided to reboot after the critical and financial failure of Batman and Robin. Other ideas that Warner Brothers had in mind to save the Batman franchise were a live-action adaptation of Batman Beyond that would have been based on the cartoon series, and it would have been directed by Remember the Titans director Bose Yakin, a gritty, hard-R adaptation of Batman Year One, written by Frank Miller and Darren Aronofsky, with Aronofsky directing, and, of course, a Superman vs. Batman crossover directed by the late Wolfgang Peterson, which would have had Colin Farrell playing Batman and Jude Law playing Superman. This Superman vs. Batman logo can be seen in the background of the Will Smith movie I Am Legend. Now, I want to know what I think of this idea of Superman vs. Batman starring Jude Law and Colin Farrell. Now, I think I could see Colin Farrell playing Batman, and Bruce Wayne, especially because of his handsome looks. But I don't know if I could see Jude Law as Superman. I don't think I'd be able to buy that. Jude Law doesn't really look like the Superman that I know from the comics, if that makes sense. It just wouldn't work. But according to the story premise of Superman versus Batman, would have had Superman dealing with his divorce with Lois Lane and Bruce Wayne being engaged to Julie Madison, his love interest. Julie gets killed thanks to Lex Luthor, and Batman somehow blames Superman for that, and it results in them fighting. But that never happened. Now, if you want an idea of what Darren Aronofsky's version of Batman Year One would be like, his vision would have Bruce Wayne lose his family wealth, become homeless, and work in a garage with Alfred being a young black man named Alfie. And it would have been gritty, dark, and R-rated. But that never did. But of course, Warner Brothers knew that this was way too different from the status quo, and even Frank Miller thought this was too much, so that never happened. And thank goodness. Ah, yes, Henry Ducard. Of course, we all know this isn't the real Henry Ducard, and Henry Ducard is merely just an alias. But Henry Ducard is actually an established character in the comics. In the comics, Henry Ducard is a French detective who mentored Bruce Wayne in the art of manhunting, best known for his moral ambiguity. Henry made his comic book debut in Detective Comics number 599 in 1989, created by Batman writer Sam Hamm, and when I say Batman, I mean the Tim Burton movie, that writer, and also co-created by Dennis Cowan, who was the co-founder of Milestone Comics, best known for introducing Static to the public. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, spoiler alert, that's not actually Henry Ducard, that's the real Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, depending on who it is, what you're thinking. Now, before Liam Neeson was cast as Ra's al Ghul, Guy Pearce, Viggo Mortensen, and apparently, what's that name? Those guys, and also Sir Gary Oldman, were considered for the role of Ra's al Ghul. Guy Pearce turned it down, believing he was too young for the character, and Sir Christopher Nolan felt Oldman would be better suited to play Commissioner Gordon. Naturally. And stay out! Now, before Christian Bale was cast as Bruce Wayne, other actors considered for the role were Henry Cavill, Billy Crudup, Jake Gyllenhaal, David Boreanaz, Heath Ledger, Ashton Kutcher, Keanu Reeves, and Cillian Murphy. Bale, Ledger, and Murphy auditioned for Batman by using the sonar suit from Batman Forever, which was donated by the late Val Kilmer. Well, that's nice. To best pose as Batman, Bale studied graphic novels and illustrations of the character, and he gained 100 pounds of muscle. And it helped that he was interested in the part after reading the Arkham Asylum graphic novel. And I mentioned the 100 pounds of muscle because before he was cast as Batman, Christian Bale had lost a very significant amount of weight for the role of the Machinist, and he was scary thin in that film. And after filming The Machinist, Christian Bale had to gain weight back, pretty much to gain weight of muscle. And honestly, his body transformation in this film is amazing when you know what he went through in order to lose the weight and then gain the weight. And of course, he was 20 pounds over and had to lose after regaining that weight. So he had to lose a bit of weight in order to gain muscle. But still, that is impressive. I mean, Christian Bale's body transformations absolutely no bounds. Because I never imagined that a decade later he would be playing Dick Cheney and would be super unrecognizable as when it comes to body transformations. That's amazing, you know? And of course, that is the decoy played by Japanese actor Ken Watanabe. In fact, Sir Christopher Nolan was so impressed by Ken Watanabe's acting that he offered that he pretty much cast him in Inception 5 years later. Naturally. Now, Ra's al Ghul made his comic book debut in Batman number 232, Daughter of the Demon, published in June of 1971, created by Dennis O'Neil and Neil Adams. It was Julius Schwartz who thought of the concept of the character and his name, for his name is Arabic for Head of the Demon. And apparently Watanabe is speaking gibberish and not real Japanese. Translation, too bad, bitch. Now, the League of Assassins, that's what... Now, I know that the movie is known as the League of Assassins, the League of Shadows in this movie, but in the comics, they're known as the League of Assassins. The League of Assassins made their comic book debut in Strange Adventures number 215 in 1968. It wasn't until issue number 405 of Detective Comics that they would receive the name League of Assassins. Now, a fun fact, the Wachowskis were approached to direct an adaptation of Batman Year One, but they turned it down in favor of directing the Matrix sequels. Yeah, that's totally a smart idea, because everyone loves the Matrix sequels. Was that even worth it? Fun fact: the actress playing Martha Wayne is Scottish. She was even in an episode of Doctor Who. I didn't even know it. Now, the house used for Wayne Manor was Mentmore Towers in Buckinghamshire, England. I'll explain later. I just want to get a nice view of this view of Gotham. I really like this perspective shot that shows Gotham City before it became a hellscape city. But yeah, this I really do love this shot of Gotham City when Bruce was younger. It's a very impressive shot, and what I find really cool is that there were no second unit directors. Christopher Nolan filmed every single shot of this movie, and that's dedication right there. And I'm actually really impressed looking at it 20 years later. It really does have its own atmosphere. Now, like I said, the house used for Wayne Manor was Mentmore Towers in Buckinghamshire, England. The mansion served as the O'Connell's house in The Mummy Returns and was used in films such as Brazil, Eyes Wide Shut, Ali G in the House, and Johnny English. You're probably wondering, what the hell is Ali G in the House? It was a character made up by Sacha Baron Cohen. Don't worry, I didn't know who Ali G was either until, when I was a teenager. Good old Thomas. Always looking out for Bruce. That escalated quickly. And of course, that's actor Richard Brake playing Joe Chill. And I've been seeing him in a lot of stuff, like horror movies on the Kill Count, and also Game of Thrones, Mayor Kingston. It's always great to see Richard Brake in just about anything. He's always, that guy. Oof. Yeah, I think Martha Wayne only got around 3 speaking lines. Like, oh, you poor thing, what happened? What happened, Bruce? And I.e. Thomas. Yeah, those are her only speaking lines. I counted. Well, at least he's not saying, Martha. But by the time Batman v Superman came around, I mean, at this point, you could make action figures of Thomas and Martha's deaths. I know, that's pretty tasteless of me. I don't care. And there's the young Jim Gordon, first day on the job. I like that this is the first time that Bruce and Jim met, to show their history. And it really does work. And there's Commissioner Loeb. Or maybe he's a lieutenant in this flashback. Now, the script was written by David S. Goyer 7 weeks before he was to direct Blade Trinity, which he also wrote. Once he started directing Blade Trinity, Christopher Nolan took over writing chores from there. And this film is notable for being Sir Christopher Nolan's second collaboration with Warner Brothers and Hans Zimmer. The first time that Christopher Nolan ever collaborated with those two was for the crime thriller Insomnia, starring Al Pacino and the late Robin Williams. I really ought to watch that film. But this film is also notable for being Christopher Nolan's first collaboration with Sir Michael Caine. And Michael Caine has collaborated with Sir Christopher Nolan in every film up until Oppenheimer. He wasn't featured in Oppenheimer. Now, Liam Neeson is a big Superman fan and was actually quite hesitant to play Ra's al Ghul because he found Batman to be scary. And this film was my first introduction to Liam Neeson alongside Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and Phantom Menace. When Bale and Neeson were fighting on the frozen lake for the training montage, they could hear ice breaking beneath them. The next day, the lake melted. Oh boy, that could have gone worse. And I like that they have an origin for the for Batman's wrist blades. Apparently, when Christian Bale auditioned for Bruce Wayne, he pretty much wanted to portray him as this rage-filled monster, which Christopher Nolan was all for, naturally. And of course, now I noticed that he dyed his hair black for this. Hey, I told you to watch your surroundings. Nope, that's not how it works. And we had a daughter named Talia. Of course, Batman Begins is notable for being the first live-action Batman movie to be released since the death of co-creator Bob Kane. Bob Kane, the last Batman movie that Bob Kane ever lived to watch was Batman and Robin, of course. Now, Sir Michael Caine based Alfred's voice on a colonel he knew in the army back when he was 18. Yep, Alfred made his comic book debut in Batman number 16, published in April of 1944. It wouldn't be until Batman number 216, published in 1969, that he would get the name Pennyworth. Now, before Sir Michael Caine was cast as Alfred, Anthony Hopkins was considered for the role of the character, which is ironic since Hopkins was also considered for Mr. Freeze on Batman the Animated Series and Batman and Robin. Years later, he would then be cast as Odin in Thor. That's a nice sentimental flashback. Does the dude even know how to use a gun? He'll shoot your eye out. Now, Rachel Dawes, created specifically for the movie, was developed as a combination of Julie Madison, an actress and socialite and Bruce's official first love interest, Silver St. Cloud, and Gilda Dent, or Grace Dent. Rachel Dawes was written as a result of the writers being unable to use Harvey Dent, feeling like they couldn't do the character justice. Gotham having its own Great Depression. I mean, I didn't even know that Richard Brake was Welsh. He definitely gives a good American accent. Anything? Anything at all? Anyone? Anyone at all? Now, before shooting began, writer and director Christopher Nolan invited the whole movie crew to a private screening of Blade Runner. Blade Runner. After the movie, he said to the whole crew, "This is how we're going to make Batman." In addition, Rutger Hauer, the actor who plays Mr. Earl in the film, also starred in Blade Runner, portraying the main antagonist, Roy. Oh man, it's like I was so shocked when Joe Chill got murdered. I mean, that is ironic. Ironic that Bruce wanted to kill him, but before he even got the chance, Chill gets murdered right in front of him. It's like Ray Yane on your wedding day. Oof, wrong thing to say to the lawyer. Christian Bale's trailer didn't have his name on the door, but said it pretty much had Bruce Wayne on the trailer. Now, despite this movie's darkness, Sir Christopher Nolan wanted to make this movie appeal to a wide age range. Not the youngest kids, obviously. I think what we've done is probably a bit intense for them. But I certainly didn't want to exclude the sort of 10 to 12-year-olds, because as a kid, I would have loved to have seen a movie like this. Because of this, nothing gory or bloody was filmed. At the time of this movie's release, Forbes magazine did a breakdown of how much it would actually cost to become Batman. The magazine estimated that total expenses would be around $3.5 million. Yeah, this was actually my first introduction to Tom Wilkinson. Rest in peace. Now, Carmine Falcone made his comic book debut in Batman number 405 in 1987, created by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli. Now, during the writing process, Christopher Nolan and David S. Goyer took walks near the site of the original Batcave from The Adam West Show, which is actually pretty cool, you know? Oh, dick move, man. Damn's fighting voids. And stay out. Everyone! That's a Leon the Professional reference. Bruce will remember that. Famous last words, and the fact that it's Wayne Enterprises shows that they're not exactly clean. Breathe it in. That's fear. I like that this is a foreshadowing of the fear gas. And apparently, because Liam Neeson is 6'4" in real life, he pretty much towered over the extras playing ninjas. So the only way to accomplish that was by having the ninja actors stand on wooden blocks to make them appear the same height as Neeson. Or just look like the same height as him, you know? Or he would look the same as them. Regular average height. I didn't realize he was 6'4". He literally towers over Christian Bale, which is kind of funny. I like the perspective of the fear hallucinations. That way we know what we're actually seeing through the hallucinator's perspective. Now, only one or two real bats were used. The rest were mainly CG, and I mean, it's completely understandable why, because, well, bats are hard to wrangle and train. So, of course, they would have to use CG bats, and I think it's understandable. Fooled you. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's sarcasm. Now, do you prefer League of Assassins or League of Shadows? I mean, I get that League of Shadows sounds more ambiguous in its morality. League of Assassins would have been very obvious in its, kill motive, which definitely would have made Batman not so happy. Dun dun dun. Yep, which shows their cult-like status. Yeah, somehow don't execute the criminal, but allow these people to suddenly get killed in the chaos. Totally not hypocritical. I mean, maybe some of these ninjas probably survived. That's my best plausibility. Oh no! You know, it still amazes me that he technically saved the real Ra's al Ghul. Use the Force, Bruce! Oh wait, wrong franchise. Yeah, I can imagine that's not easy for Bruce's left arm and his right arm at the same time. He's probably thinking, "Jeez, Ross, what have you been eating?" And Bruce will learn to regret that for the rest of his life. I mean, probably not the smartest thing he's ever done. Ah, perfect timing, Alfred. Kind of making him a martyr for his actions. Now, none of the big name cast members were initially told this was a Batman movie. The script they were sent was called The Intimidation Game. Sir Michael Caine thought it was a gangster movie that when he saw the title of the script. Okay, so 7 years, and Bruce was supposedly 23 when he left Gotham, and 7 years of training and such. And of course, I say this because Bruce's birthday is 19. His birthday indicates he's 30 by the time of by the birthday scene. And oof, Gotham has become a bit of a hellscape. Batman Begins is also notable for being the on screen debut of villain Mr. Zsasz. Zsasz made his comic book debut in Batman Shadow of the Bat #1 in June of 1992, created by Alan Grant and Norm Brayfogle. And let me tell you, Mr. Zsasz is definitely one of the most messed up villains in the Batman lore. I mean, I mean, a villain who kills people and then cuts himself to tally up all his kills. I mean, that is yucked up. Fun fact, Christopher Nolan is reputed for being so fascinated with Cillian Murphy's blue eyes that he pretty much would make up any excuse for Cillian to take off the glasses to show off those shiny blue eyes. I mean, Murphy is great as Jonathan Crane, and it's nice to know that he was in all three Batman movies. But, I do wonder what it would have been like if Murphy had been cast as Batman. I mean, he probably would have been a very quirky yet handsome Bruce Wayne. I probably would have believed he was a young Batman, you know? Wait, what's this? Yeah, I think that's a real bat in there. It's another cave, all right. A very big one. Almost as big as the house. Years later, after watching this, I mean, Batman Begins really does have some great visual shots. It does feel like a work of art sometimes. Maybe not as great as, say, The Dark Knight or like Superman the movie or even Avengers Endgame, but it still has some great shots and some great moments. And fun fact, no visual effects were used for the Batcave. It was a massive, handmade, full-scale set, which I think is quite impressive. And then, of course, I really do like this scene where Bruce pretty much faces what he fears. He fears the bats, but then, his fear is gone and he practically embraces it. And it does feel like such an iconic shot. And it really does define the tone of Batman Begins for the better. Especially with Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard's score. Yeah, there are two people scoring Batman Begins. Yup. Yep, Rachel don't take no bribes. And yeah, this film was technically my first introduction to Katie Holmes. I didn't know about the Tom Cruise drama until years later, until I read it in the papers. Yeah, that's Roy Batty. I didn't even know he was in Blade Runner until just now. Whoa. She's looking at a ghost. Jessica! And I like that I like that Bruce is totally flirting with Jessica in his true billionaire playboy philanthropist style. Something of a scientist himself. Now, Lucius Fox made his comic book debut in Batman number 307 in January of 1979, created by Len Wein and John Calnan. And, well, Morgan Freeman has read Batman comics since he was 9, but he didn't know anything about Lucius Fox. And before Freeman was cast as Lucius Fox, Lawrence Fishburne was considered for the role of Fox, which is pretty funny since years later, Lawrence Fishburne would play Perry White in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. And I do think it's kind of in a hilarious fit of irony. I mean, Christian Bale isn't the only live-action Batman actor that Morgan Freeman has collaborated with. He collaborated with Michael Keaton in the drama Clean and Sober, which I would recommend. He also collaborated with the late but great Christopher Reeve, Superman, in Street Smart, and he collaborated with Ben Affleck in Gone Baby Gone, Ben Affleck's directorial debut. So that is 3 Batman actors that Morgan Freeman has collaborated with. That's pretty awesome. Who uses a military outfit for splunking? Nobody needs to know. Perfect. Why, this looks like the perfect place to put a computer and a T-Rex and a giant penny. I like that it was fully made. I mean, some of the previous Bat caves were, some of them were also matte paintings, which is also a very good perspective. Yeah. Once again, Alfred still got it, still funny. Yeah, you don't want to breathe in spray paints. I actually like this montage of them thinking up the concept of the Batman cowl and how they justify making it look like a bat shaped cowl. Good thing you're rich. Yeah, there's that too. Yeah, Bruce is thinking, oh, good thing I'm rich. And there's James Gordon's corrupt partner, Victor Flass, who was actually established in Batman Year One. And yeah, aside from Sirius Black, this was actually my first introduction to Gary Oldman. I mean, I didn't know that he was British, and I also didn't know that for the most part, Oldman is best known for playing a lot of villains, like Count Dracula. I mean, the dude is a chameleon. And I'm really happy that he won an Oscar for playing Winston Churchill and for being knighted. Congrats to him. And yeah, he does look like Jim Gordon in Batman Year One. And I like that this is Bruce's prototype Batman suit, and it does feel like a nice reference to Batman Year One, and I do think it works. That's a good line. You into him, Jimbo. Oof. Ugh, my back! My back! Now, the cape was made with a technique called electrostatic flocking, taught to the crew by the British Ministry of Defence and normally used to decrease the night vision visibility of objects. Nylon parachute fabric was brushed with glue and covered with fine hair-like material. An electrostatic current was then passed under the material, creating a dark sheen while maintaining the billowing experience. Ah, yes, the tumbler. You'd be wrong. Oh, yeah, totally interested. Oh, Wayne looks like he's having fun with it. Naturally. Oof. That poor cowl. Yeah, those discounts. Of course, what kind of idiot would land on his head? Yep, take out what doesn't work. Nice. Oh, yes. Because criminals are a superstitious, cowardly lot. Now, this scene is definitely perfect because it's a great way to finally introduce the Batman. And it also does feel like a traditional superhero movie as well. Yeah, you work for me as well. Boom! This bitch empty. Yeet! Yep, and that's a batarang. And also kind of a ninja star, too. Huh. Oh. Sorry, I almost dropped the recorder. That would have been bad. Yeah, someone's trigger happy. I mean, this does almost rival like Batman's first appearance in the 1989 movie. I mean, that one is so atmospheric, so simple, and yet it works perfectly. But this is a good close second. Oh, that driver looks out cold. Three, two, one. Oh, yeah. Now, the name Batman is said 10 times. And look at that. It's the bum he gave the coat to. That's a pretty nice callback in retrospect.
Do you ever have the feeling you're being watched? That the eyes of strange, eerie people are upon you? Look, out there, in the audience.
That barely felt like a light tap. That's what I thought, bitch. Surprise! Now, Batman's all-black suit was designed by Lindy Hemming. She has done costume designs for Four Weddings and a Funeral, Goldeneye, Tomorrow Never Dies, and she also won an Oscar for Best Costume Design for Topsy Turvy, which was a biopic about Gilbert and Sullivan. And other films that Lindy Hemming has done costume designs for were for James Bond films Goldeneye, Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day. She also did costume designs for Harry Potter and The Chamber of Secrets, the first two Lara Croft movies, Casino Royale, the Clash of the Titans remake, the first two Paddington films, the first two Wonder Woman films, and the other two Dark Knight films, and Wonka. So she's collaborated with Patty Jenkins, Christopher Nolan, and Paul King. Pretty cool. And now we see the prototype bat signal, which is pretty cool. And the bat signal made its official comic book debut in Detective Comics number 60. Now you know. It's an iconic piece of Batman lore. Kind of like the origin for this and this. Now, Hans Zimmer named the tracks in the soundtrack after types of bats. The first letters of tracks 4 to 9 in the soundtrack spell Batman. Barbastella, Artabaeus, Tatarita, Macrotus, Antrozaus, and Nycteris. Ooh, the light! It burns! Ooh, what do we got here? I like that. Or maybe experiencing bad hallucinations. Some League of Assassin saboteurs. That can't be good. Ah, yeah, Bruce Wayne pretending to be a womanizing billionaire. Next thing we know, there's going to be a freak dressed like a clown. Oop. Yeah, so Bruce owns a hotel now. That guy, that lobby guy must be having a good day if he's being tipped generously by Bruce Wayne. Now, Claire Danes and Reese Witherspoon were also considered for the role of Rachel Dawes. Well, I do wonder what Claire Danes and Reese Witherspoon would have brought to the table. And of course, I did not know that Katie Holmes, turned down the chance to reprise her role of Rachel Dawes in order to be in Mad Money. Not exactly a smart career decision, if you ask me. And, but I do think Maggie Gyllenhaal is a pretty decent replacement for Rachel Dawes. More hotels for you to buy. Bruce will remember that. And of course, I did not know that this lady was Jo Martin, who played the fugitive doctor on Doctor Who. I didn't realize this until I was doing research, and it's like, I recognize her now, and I'm thinking, my god, she was so young. It's like, wow. Kind of cool seeing her in this minor role. You know nothing. Oh, yeah. Corrupt guys like him have dirt on everyone. The guy thinks he's the mayor. I would say he's kind of a king. Carmine Falcone's a kingpin in this. It all went downhill after that. Now, Sir Christopher Nolan didn't want to give Scarecrow a mask, but David S. Goyer was able to talk him into using it. And 20 prototype masks were made for Scarecrow. I have no idea what Carmine's afraid of. Now, Scarecrow made his comic book debut in World's Finest Comics #3, published in September of 1941, created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane. And, well, Batman Begins marks his first live-action appearance in a movie. And I think it's about time. Yep, and that's little Barbara. And I think that fuzzy toddler is not acting. But still, I like this. I like seeing Gordon established as a family man. And, alright, so I do have a soft spot for the Tim Burton Batman movies. And they're great, But if there's one aspect of the first two Tim Burton movies that I think is doesn't work is definitely Batman's relationship with Jim Gordon. We don't really see that version of Commissioner Gordon and Batman interact that much, so I think it's kind of one of the weak aspects of it. But my point is, I do think that the Dark Knight trilogy does a better job establishing Jim Gordon and Batman's relationship. It's really great. I like it. And I do think that Sir Gary Oldman and Christian Bale have very good on-screen chemistry. Oof, that's racist, I think. Yoink! Now, let me get the facts. Now, Christian Bale was uncomfortable in the Batman outfit and actively disliked wearing it. In fact, the mask gave him massive headaches, but he felt because wearing it put him in a foul mood, it helped to contribute to his performance as Batman. And, fun fact, Christian Bale lost his voice 3 times when altering his voice for Batman. I don't dare do that kind of Batman voice because it hurts my voice so much. I mean, it would have been a lot more believable if he did a voice modulation kind of like in Batman v Superman, but that would have been work. That would have worked, and it probably would have been less painful, if you catch my drift. Yeah, don't turn your back, buddy. Ugh, that's cruel. I actually like these slum cities that were made for it. Really helps sell the kind of hellscape that Gotham can be sometimes. And that's a young Jack Gleason before he was Joffrey Baratheon on Game of Thrones. I didn't even know that this guy was going to be playing Joffrey until I watched CinemaSins Everything Wrong with Batman Begins. Ironic. Ah, so there are the other drugs. Uh-oh. What's this? Do I see a stowaway? Boom! Hey, look. Hey, can we have Kevin Spacey? No, we have Kevin Spacey at home. Kevin Spacey at home. Got punched by Batman. Now, before Cillian Murphy was cast as Scarecrow, other actors like Marilyn Manson, Christopher Eccleston, and Ewan McGregor were considered for the role of Scarecrow. Now, I don't know if that was Christian Bale doing that fire stunt, but props to that stuntman for willing to be lit on fire. I respect a fire stunt like this. Batman is smoking! Now, it might sound like he said Alfred twice, but he did say help me, I think. Yeah, an excessive amount of that fear gas. Of course, when I watched this in theaters for the first time, I didn't even know that what a hallucination was and how the fear gas worked. But years later, I get it now. Now, Christian Bale revealed in interviews in 2009 that in his first scene with Sir Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman, the one involving this scene where he's waking up in bed to find them waiting there, he actually fell asleep after getting ready for the scene. Bale described waking up to find Caine poking him in the ribs, saying, "Look at that, he's bloody fallen asleep." That's pretty funny. Nope. Yeah, but it's not much of a gift. Yep, 30th birthday. And it's definitely going to be a wild birthday for Mr. Wayne. Ooh, that's passive aggressive. Finders keepers. But I guess they don't believe in losers weepers. So it is a nice sentimental gift. I wonder what Alfred's joke is. Also, I like that this is a secret entrance is a few specific piano keys. It's actually quite practical and like a comic book. Of course, one of my favorite aspects is whenever Bruce is near the grandfather clock, he can arrange it to a certain time to open the cave. Either way is quite practical, if you ask me. And oh yeah, this is art! This is art! Especially with that music, it's just... Mwah! Chef's kiss. I like that these two actors actually have a lot of respect for each other and have absolutely no animosity towards each other. And you know what? That's great. I love it when two actors really respect each other.
You're fired.
Ugh. It's cold. Cold as a robot. And, I actually like how Batman's cowl is able to radio in on the conversations. Very smart. That doesn't sound good. Holy sweatshop, Batman! This is where we dump it. Nope. Yep, run, bitch, run! Uh-oh. I do wonder what Rachel's worst fears are. Too bad we can never see that. Oh yeah, I guess she's afraid of maggots. I mean, I get it. I love how giddy he looks. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, kick some ass. Oh, no you don't, Scarecrow. I remember first seeing this scene and having no idea what the hell was going on and seeing Batman's demonic face. And I think it might be a reference to a demonic version of the Batman Beyond suit. And I really do like that it was practical makeup effects done for the demonic hallucination. But it definitely works. Yeah, I think that might have driven him insane. Yep, surrounded you are. There's Floss. Yeah, he is an unpleasant guy. SWAT. Huh. Quite an escalation. Did he just swoop James Gordon up? I know he's not a commissioner. Yep, take the stairs. And I do think it's a reference to Batman Year One. But anyway, say hello to my little friend! Yeah, that's some pretty decent digital effects for all the bats attacking, while ensuring all the actors' safeties. But yeah, it's a good way to distract everyone. Oh yeah, that is so cool. And I do like the bulky neck. It really does add to his intimidation factor. But I totally understand why they had to change it. So that he could move his neck. Okay, that's pretty funny. The two guys just looking at each other like, what the hell? Yours? And there's the black Batmobile. Now, although Christian Bale performed many of his own stunts, he wasn't allowed to anywhere near the Batmobile. I guess they thought he'd wreck it. Now, the Batmobile, 9 feet wide and 16 feet long, has a top speed of 160 miles per hour and can now accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6 seconds. The engine is a 5.7-liter V8 Chevy. It runs on unleaded gasoline and can do about 7 miles per gallon. It has 4 44-inch tires at the rear, made by Interco Tire Corporation, while the front is covered in jacket plates of armor. It was designed and built by Chris Corbould and Andrew Smith at Shepperton Studios in England. This Batmobile was built from the ground up and is estimated to be worth £500,000 sterling. It was designed by mashing together several different off-the-shelf model kits. Its construction was so exacting to the model that they even duplicated the blobs of excess glue. And, I really admire that Christopher Nolan pretty much filmed all of this, including the Batmobile chase scene, all by himself. And sheesh, I hope those two cars were insured. Now, while shooting the film in Chicago, a drunk driver accidentally crashed into the Batmobile, believing it to be an invading alien spacecraft. I mean, can you blame him? I mean, it's quite otherworldly, while still being grounded. Although, personally, my favorite Batmobile would have to be the one from the 1989 Batman movie. It's perfect, And not too overkill. Although I also like the Batmobile from the Adam West show. It's iconic in its own right, you know? Yes, he is. And it's honestly bombastic. And of course, everyone knows the Batmobile was first appeared in Detective Comics number 27. Well, there it is. At least now he knows what it looks like. Yeah, little saboteurs. Oh, yeah, she's tripping bad. Yeah, I think whatever she sees with Batman probably ain't good. Here's an ironic fact. Apparently, Christian Bale's sister played Martha Wayne in a fan film known as The Death of Batman. And I hear it's abysmal, and I'm probably not going to watch it. It's a good way to wake her up, I guess. This arrived from Fox. He just swooped. That's not good. Ah, actually, that kind of makes a lot of sense. I certainly wish Pitch Meeting realized that before making that joke about them being all dirty and such. You know, I'm surprised Rachel hasn't recognized his voice. The question is, and I think it's a miracle that Rachel was even able to remember everything Batman told her before knocking her out. Alfred does not look happy. Yeah. Well, to be fair, Bruce barely knows these people. Yep. And many more. Sorry, every time we sing Happy Birthday, usually we end it with something like and many more. Who left golf clubs in that? Oh yeah, try explaining this. And they just, okay. That's pretty ominous. That's not good. Bruce will remember that. I love that smile on Lucius's face, like, oh, I'm glad you're encouraging this, buddy. I believe that's Christopher Nolan's aunt. Or maybe I'm wrong. Dun dun dun. I like how this Ra's al Ghul decoy is wearing a green vest, just like a green coat, just like in the comics. Well, quite not. I like this idea that Ra's al Ghul is simply an idea. And it was a big mistake. Time to work that Bruce Wayne charm. Oof, he feels outed. I hardly know any of you. Oof. Bruce will remember that. I like how the ones that don't leave are clearly the ones from the League of Assassins, even posing as, like mundane people like musicians and servers. They will tear each other into pieces. Jesus Christ, will be fun. Da 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 da. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Of course, that's what they believe because the League of Shadows is a cult. Yep, that says. Ooh, that is not something you want to hear. Some friend, backstabber, is what Ross is probably saying. Oof. Now, in case you're wondering, Tim Burton and Michael Keaton were both impressed by Batman Begins, and, well, that's nice. Always was your undoing, Bruce. Oof. I think that might be the closest to some dry humor that Ra's al Ghul ever expressed. Now, do you all prefer pronouncing it as Ra's al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul? I guess sometimes I might pronounce it as Ra's al Ghul, sometimes I might pronounce it as Ra's al Ghul. So Alfred just put her on that bed. Well, that's thoughtful of him. And a good, thankfully Rachel remembered. Ah, nice. Well, that's a good one. I hope you're not a member of the fire brigade. Yeah, and that's the last time he uses the piano since the piano burned down and probably burst. Good thing they came down that elevator shaft in time. Otherwise, they could have been Toasty! Yeah, and that wound does not look nice. To pick ourselves up again. And that's very good of Alfred. I guess, like, okay. Do you hear the people singing the songs of angry men? Da da da. I forgot the lyrics. And I just wanted to make that a reference. I don't think that's a real SWAT car. There's Joffrey. Bring me his head! What a rude cop. Oh yeah, he's part of the League of Shadows. No wonder he's a dick. Well, maybe he's immune to that gas, but of course it's natural that he puts it on before to ensure he doesn't have any hallucinations. And Rich is like, oh, go on, this way, that way. Now he's immune to it. For now. Oof. Nice. Good to see Flask get his comeuppance. So I guess the those little batarangs can fold. Now, 5 Batmobiles were actually made for the film, naturally. Yep, that shows how insane he's gone. Think again. And I think this is when his throat started hurting. Oh man, that's such a disservice to Scarecrow. He deserves to go out better than that. Went out like a bitch. Nice save, Batman. That's the spirit. I'm Batman. Oh yeah. And that's pretty awesome. I like how the criminals perceive him as this demon of night into hallucinations. Well, look at that. It's G.I. Joe ninjas. You know, I bet you all those guys playing the faceless goons are a bunch of stuntmen that have been in so many action films, including Marvel movies. It's kind of cool to imagine, you know? I'm gonna polish them off. No way. Ah, thank goodness for that grapple gun. Ah! Honestly, yeah, the third act is so bombastic. I love it. Huh. So, I guess the Batmobile's got something similar to Google Maps. I like it. Yeah, it's actually cool that this final fight scene is at the Wayne bus. Perfect. I love this 3D shot, that like this point of view shot. I mean, this probably would have been cool to experience in 4DX. You know what I mean? Or even in IMAX. Hey, it's like I looked at says, "I'll put your dukes up." Fire! Ooh, trying to use Dad's words against him. More like sabotaging. I love Gordon's little yes! Yep. Ooh, use it against him. His own words. That is such a dumb loophole, because he's technically leaving him for dead, which is technically killing him. Oh, Race just accepts it. Still, you got a train to catch, Roz. And boom, destroying the microwave evaporator, too. Win-win. Which means you don't have to worry about all that water going boom boom and turning into fear gas. Still want one of those, Gordo? And why are you talking like William Shatner? Ooh, how do you like them apples? Ooh, page 8. Yeah. Yeah. Which means you got fired, butch. Good to know he's thinking about her. Yeah, get some. Yeah, Bruce Wayne is the main disguise. Batman is the real face. I mean, yeah, even Kevin Conroy said that, Bruce Wayne died the moment his parents died. I mean, Batman is the true face of Bruce Wayne. Even I totally get that. Bruce Wayne is just a disguise. Kind of like how Clark Kent is a disguise. And hopefully a clown won't be the death of me and I won't have a different face. But yeah, like that's ever gonna happen. That's good. That stethoscope was burnt to a crisp. Shame. But yeah, I do like the actor they got for Thomas Wayne. He was good. With some improvements. That's a logical conclusion. But I do like that Wayne Manor was eventually rebuilt. And oh yeah, the bat signal. Looking much better. Yeah, that's a good one. Oh. Yep. And not just any ordinary calling card, a Joker. Yep, I mean, it might take us 3 years to look into it, but he'll look into it. And yeah, technically, Batman gets the last word, and thankfully, they're memorable last words. Title card! And that was Batman Begins, and I do think it's, 20 years later, the film still holds up. Does it have imperfections? Yeah. Does it have a few plot holes? Probably, and things that might not make sense. But for the most part, this is the dark and gritty Batman movie that the franchise really needed to make a comeback. This is the perfect comeback movie. And I know that people say that The Dark Knight is a better movie, and yes, I do agree that The Dark Knight is very much an improvement. But there wouldn't be The Dark Knight if it weren't for Batman Begins. And not only that, but there wouldn't be modern superhero films that know to be mature and gritty when they need to. I mean, I do believe that Batman Begins was the stepping stone for films like Iron Man to really exist. So, for better or for worse, whether you're into the dark and gritty genre of superhero movies or not, we have Batman Begins to thank for that. And it was definitely a return to form for the Batman franchise. And it's definitely a film I definitely remember fondly. And as an adult, I definitely say it holds up 20 years later. It's very great to be talking about this film on the film's 20th anniversary, and I had a lot of fun talking about it. But anyway, yeah, that's my commentary companion for Batman Begins. Thank you for listening to it. In between this and my commentary companion for Spider-Man 2, I might be talking about Steven Spielberg movies to celebrate the 50th anniversary of his sophomore effort, Jaws. I'll let you know more about it as soon as I release it, but anyway, I'm going to be going to Washington SummerCon very soon. Anyway, be sure to like and subscribe, and don't have a good day. Have a great day. Remember, it's not who you are underneath, it's what you do that defines you.